My name is Evelyn Browne, and I'm the founder of It's Spooky to Be Hungry. I lived in Rochester, Minnesota, and I read in the paper that the local food bank had empty shelves. I lived in a nice little subdivision, and I was friends with a neighbor, and I said, maybe we can just do a food drive right here in the neighborhood. And and I got this idea that we would do it with our kids. We both had like 2-year-olds then. I got this idea since it would be before Halloween, and it was never supposed to be on Halloween. We didn't want it to be trick-or-treating for food. We wanted it to be seasonal more than specific. So I got this idea that we would call it It's Spooky to Be Hungry. So I did it for 2 years in Rochester, and it went so well. And not only did we actually collect a fair amount of food and money, but I met all these neighbors and everybody loved it. I moved to Augusta and again lived in a subdivision. And shortly after I moved, one of my really closest friends also moved to Augusta. We were both military families. And she had heard about my adventures in spooky in Minnesota. And I said, well, what do you think if we do this here?
One day I was in my office, not thinking about Halloween or a food drive, when Evelyn Browne came into my office and proposed an astounding idea. She had the idea of organizing a food collection in her neighborhood and then donating the food to Golden Harvest Food Bank. So I said, that sounds great. And then she says, we want to do it on Halloween, and we want to call it It's Spooky to Be Hungry. Well, I couldn't think of a better marketing line than that, and so I certainly gave Evelyn the green light to go forward and assured her of any support that I could give.
It was a labor of love. I felt like not only was I making a difference in providing some support for people with food insecurity, but I felt like I was making a difference in the community. Everyone who was involved would feel satisfaction in what they did. And I said, if people love this, the rest will follow.
It wasn't long before it went viral, so to speak. And neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood was organized and came on board. And pretty soon we had our trucks spreading all over Augusta, Richmond County, and Columbia County to pick up the huge amounts of food that were coming in. It's continued on to this day. Sure, we've had to be nimble on our feet with COVID and other realities we've had, and now people can actually have a virtual food drive. So it couldn't get any better.
I never anticipated that this would still be ongoing. And, you know, I've never been someone who's really been concerned about what is my legacy. I feel like I try to live every day as a flawed person who's doing her best. And that I hope will be my legacy. But to see that something that I really did put so much time and energy into is continuing in this way is really heartening.